So hi everyone, my name is Nicolas Szewe, as he just said. I'm the head of business intelligence of Lombard Odier Investment Manager. It's the investment manager side of Lombard Odier, which is a Swiss private bank. I'm based in Geneva, Switzerland, and I just made the way to present to you guys. In this presentation, I'm going to show you the way we leverage self-service BI to reach a wide audience with data and to transform the way people are interacting with data to take decisions based on it. So we are now working with 16 different business units, and we did that in less than 2 years. To start my presentation, I'm going to tell you a bit of where I'm coming from in the company and how did we decided to go with self-service BI. So at the beginning, I'm a data engineer. I started in the data management team 6 years ago at Lombard Odier. And basically, we made some observation that form kind of the basis of the reason why we're doing self-service BI. The first observation, and I think we've all made this observation, the working in data, is that data volume is completely booming. As you can see on the graph, it's completely exponential. There is more and more data all around the places. And it's not only about volume, it's also about variety of sources, different files, different technologies, and basically it's coming from all around the places. And a couple of the speakers before, they mentioned that they were flooding with data requests, and that was the same for us. So I think if you look at the past, people kind of try to adapt. They follow agile methodology to deliver faster. They have sprints, they shorten the sprints, they want to deliver faster, integrate faster new data sources. However, and that's my second observation, even if you go faster, this will never be fast enough. Certain business users, they cannot wait one week. They cannot wait 2 weeks. They don't want to wait for a sprint. They come with this request in the morning, and they need the data analysis in the evening. So what do you do with them? Typically, you will have few possibilities to reply to this. The first one, you just disregard the fact that it's urgent. You follow your sprint methodology, you release it in 2 weeks, and by the time you release, the business user doesn't need anymore your data analysis. That was useless. Second methodology, second way, you work on hotfixes. You go directly in production, you create a branch, you fix it, you do new development urgently, and that's not going anywhere. Long-term vision, the IT systems become unstable, and your developers might be frustrated, they are not following their best practices, and at some point they might leave as well with frustration. Third possibilities, you just close the eyes, and you let the business users do what they want to do. If you do that, you might have some problems. The business users, as we've seen in the previous talk, they will use Excel, they will use Microsoft Access. Some of the elaborate ones that might use SQL or Python, but they will do everything on their own. And I guess all of us, we've seen this screen, Microsoft Excel is not responding. You're doing way too many things in here, way too many data, way too many transformation. Problem with that as well, everyone is working in silo. They are working in their business units, they are doing their own transformation, they don't necessarily collaborate with each other. So it's duplication of process. In fact, when we did this observation, we found that 2 teams next to each other were doing the exact same data transformation, they just didn't know. One was doing SQL, the other one was doing Excel. So what should be the desired model? Our vision for us was that anyone that needs to access data should be able to access it and to manipulate that data. In fact, I was thinking about this, and I think, in our industries, I barely find one job that does not need data. Maybe legal, even them, maybe, I guess they need data. So if we want to provide that people the data, of course, we need to give them a proper way of dealing with the data in a secured and governed manner. And the vision is then that data engineer, instead of spending their time on doing data extraction quickly, fixing things, they should make sure that the data platform is stable enough and that is able to support self-service. That goes to the solution, self-service BI. That's why I'm here to talk. So with self-service BI, we basically decided on 2 tools. We have Alteryx for data manipulation, and we have Tableau for data visualization. Our end user, we give them those tools. So with Alteryx, they get a no-code interface, easy drag and drops. They can connect to any data sources in the company. They can manipulate the data, and they can report the data in a static manner. And with Tableau, they get dashboards. They get a way to explore, to discover data in a visual manner. They can filter, have different level of aggregation, and this is done in Tableau. We, as BI team, we don't do dashboards. We don't do Alteryx workflows. We help them to do themselves. That's our only mission. We help people to help themselves. We train them, we show them best practices, we show them how to connect to our internal data sources. We are kind of their guide. And of course, with this, we have a lot of people using those tools. So what we want to do is to build a form of community. We want people that are working in their own silos to feel part of a club. They are part of the Alteryx community. They are part of the Tableau community. And because they are part of a community, they are going to be much more willing to share with their colleagues from the different business units. Sounds great? So how do we practically doing it? Because we have a systematic approach with the two tools. Actually, I realized in the slides that I didn't even mention what seems obvious for me, but before we even start a project, we make sure on the why. Why are we doing this? Is this providing any value for the business before we even start? So we have discussion and demo with top management to make sure that this makes sense from a business standpoint. Once we agree on the value, we define project leaders. In each business unit, we have 1 or 2 project leaders. This guy will be our champions. This will be the person we talk with. This will be the person we train. And there will be a trust-trust relationship. They trust us that we give them the best practice and the good way of doing things. And in exchange, we will trust them that they will evangelize best practices within their units and that they will make sure that things are done the right way. Once project leaders are defined, we send them to training. And training, we usually delegate that to third party, because what I mean by training is the basic knowledge of how to use the tools. And the third parties, they are great for doing that. It's basic, it's the same for every enterprise, every business unit, they will have the basic knowledge. Once they have the basic knowledge, they can come to us and we have an onboarding procedures. For onboarding procedures, what do? We literally go on a call, we share the screen, and we build the first report with them. They come with their use case, and we do it with them on the call. We show them what are the best sources for what they need to do. We show them how to do data transformation, and we show them also what they should be doing, documentation, and all of these aspects. Don't forget, we talk about business users, the end users, so they might not be even knowing about documenting things. So we help them to learn all of these aspects that you know as IT persons. Once we believe they are ready, they are good, we let them fly, and they start doing things by their own. But, and this is really important, we never cut the link with them, because we need to enable this content dialogue. Over the last months, we've been building this trust with them. They trust us, we trust them, so we should never lose this trust. So we keep a constant dialogue. We have weekly, bi-weekly, monthly calls with them when we look at what they want to do in the company, what are their projects, and we make sure they're not doing duplication of processes, and we make sure they still remembers what are the best practices we teach them. Another way of keeping the dialogue is community events. So as we mentioned before, the goal is also to have a community around it. So community events is mainly 3 initiatives. The first one is Microsoft Teams channels. Maybe for others, we might be using Slack. Whatever the tools, what is important is that you can have all the people on a kind of community place when they can discuss and share problematics online. The second initiative, is that we have monthly newsletters. So we let our business users know about what are the new releases, what are the new users joining the community, what's going on in the external community, like today, these events, when we learn new things, we send newsletters. And the last event is quarterly project leader call. All project leaders get together, they speak about what we've done. Some of the business users will then do a demo to the others. And we also build the roadmap with them. We don't want to build the roadmap on our own. We build it with them during those calls. The key for success. The key for success, and I think I will emphasize this a lot, it's all about the people. Here we are talking digital transformation. We are not talking about a tool. We are not talking about a technology. We are talking about changing the way people have been working for 20, 25 years. These people that were doing Excel, they are not doing Excel for 2 years. They have been doing it for a long time. So we have to respect that. And we have to understand why they ended up here and how we can help them. we really need to build this trust. And if the trust works, this will drive adoption and will boost impact on the projects. So how do we build the trust? We start with quick wins. We take a project, we do it with them, we show them that it's feasible, that it will work, and people will start to trust you. It's practical, we go and we do. And you know, trust is really important because as IT, we know how to manipulate the data, we know how to transform it, but as business, they know how to derive the insights out of the data. So it's really this, you know, hybrid knowledge that makes the beauty out of this approach. So it's really the combination of the two experiences that makes the beauty. Community, I already mentioned it, but it's really important to break the silos. As we said, we had the silos approach. People are redoing the same thing. So if you have a community, you will be aware of what's going on, and you will be able to, you know, reuse and reshare the logics. Practically, for those who are using Tableau, we have a template dashboard that people can reuse. So when they are in the company, they create a dashboard. It will look the same as the other doing Tableau dashboards. In Alteryx, we have something called macros, which are like reusable components. So we will develop business logic inside a box. And for the end user, he will just have to drag and drop this box, the macro, and the business logic will be held inside. And finally, and of course, nothing will happen without the data. You cannot do self-service BI if you don't have a good platform. I'm sorry about this. Your platform should be able to handle data requests on a self-service manner. Typically here, I will advise to have at least a REST API. I would not advise for the end users to query directly database because you will rely on them to do good queries. You might end up with performance issues, and also you will be stuck with the data model. If people are doing SQL queries directly on the database, you won't be able to rename tables, you won't be able to change columns, you won't be able to change technology. So if you have an API on top of it, then you can change whatever underneath. The API will do the translation. The values of this approach, three main values. Automation is the obvious one. Automation has a lot of side effects, side values. The first one is employee efficiency. Of course, we are removing manual steps, we are automatizing those steps, so things become more efficient. I didn't put a number here. I'm sorry, I didn't put how many hours we're saving, and that kind of makes sense. You want to build trust with your people, so you won't sell a project of self-service by telling, hey guys, I'm going to automatize your jobs, that's it. We're going to save a lot of hours. So it's really difficult to kind of record efficiency, but we know that it makes sense. It's reducing operational risk, obviously. In a company, we had like people that if they were not here on the first day of the month, no report were leaving. They were running on their machine, this type of things. So now it's running on a server, it's automated, it's BCP compliance, and of course it's following best practices. And the last one is a bit paradoxical, because I guess you shouldn't do data quality checks at the end of the process, but still the business user will have to do it because they have some business validation that makes sense just for them in their context. So we found that the data is a bit more trustworthy because, before that, they were doing visual checks, just looking at their data. Oh, it looks good. That's it. I can send it. No more. Process simplification, quite obvious. People are speaking the same language. They're using the same tools, so they understand each other. It's much more easy, actually, to move one resource to a team to another one. So it fosters collaboration and improves knowledge sharing and maintenance. And the last one is actually not to be underestimated. It's employee empowerment. We are training them. We are giving them new tools, so they feel really happy about it. They're happy that we trust the business users to use IT tools. And actually, we found also a lot of innovation because they have much more access to the data, so they come up with new projects, and that makes a lot of sense for the business. So we have a really high satisfaction rate in the company where everyone that is using our tools come back and say that they're happy. Now, the risk. Now, I've tell you all the values. It looks great, but I'm sorry, it's not that easy, and there are some risks with this approach. The first one is that self-service only works if your employees can assign time to it. What I typically mean here is that the bottom-up approach is good to find values, but won't work here. Because if your employees start to do things on their own, they start to learn training, but they don't have time to assign to it, they will forget what you just explained. They won't be working on your tools on a daily basis, and that won't work. So we start with a top-to-bottom approach, top-down approach. We go to the top management, we explain the project in the units, and we get the approval that it makes sense. And then the project leaders will have this as part of his objectives and goals for the years. Without that, you won't have the commitment from the business unit that it will work. Second risk, we mentioned that in Excel, people were doing some form of weird stuff that was quite complex. The risk is that you don't basically change anything organizationally. You're just moving the complexity from solution A to solution B. It's great you're using a new tool, it's automated, but you haven't resolved the underneath issue, which is why are we manipulating so much data and combining so much data. So for this, two ways of kind of reducing the risk: constant dialogue. If you speak with your teams, you know what they're doing, so you can quickly detect that they are not going the right way, and you can, redirect the teams. And second, and actually quite awesome, with Tableau and Alteryx, you have all the metadata of the tools, and you can exploit that metadata to kind of build a dashboard on top of it. So in our system, we know exactly who is doing what, which data they are consuming, which data they are outputting, which data transformation they are doing. At the moment, we don't really take action on it, but that leads to my last point, is generate a lot of data governance questions. Why are we using this data source to do these reports? Why these guys should be owning this data source? And that's a lot of discussion happening right now, and that's kind of the next step for us. And data quality, obviously, people are looking more at the data, so they come up with new data quality issues, and that's a lot of strong discussion going on here. The next step for us, so the first one is self-service for viewers in Tableau. What we mean by this is that right now I told you about self-service BI being our strategy to help people create content, so to deploy new data analysis and things like that. But still, this will be a subset of the business teams. They will be the one responsible of producing the analysis for the other in the team. We want to go one step further. We want for the end user, the consumer, to be able to also change the way the data is visualized. And it can go even deep to the end client, external client. Ideally, in the future, we would like to give self-service to them. The second one is further develop our community. Developing a community is really difficult. I have to say that it takes a lot of time. And for example, I mentioned the Teams channel. So people are posting their question in here. But in their mind, I know that they know it's BI behind it. It's us answering the question. It's not necessarily other business unit answering the question. So this, we are trying different techniques. We're trying to reward the people. We're trying to let them get graduates, having exams, these type of things. But creating a community takes a lot of time and is really difficult. The last one, I made it in the next step before I made it as a risk. It's generate a lot of data governance questions. And you won't solve your data governance issues by buying a tool. No. This is organizational. Data governance is about defining responsibility. It's about defining data stewards and about reviewing the quality, because you have so many tools that offer you to do data quality. But at the end of the day, you still need someone to review those exceptions. And if you have dozens and dozens of exceptions, you need to reassign it in the business units. And this is only possible with the data governance framework. The last thing that I wanted to mention is this technology adoption lifecycle. At the beginning, it comes from marketing. When you come with a new product, you want to market it. You have this adoption lifecycle with crossing the chasm. I think most of these concepts apply when you try to do a digital initiative in your company. So I will really advise that you go and read this book from Mr. Moore, Cross the Chasm, which is explaining a lot on how you can, convince all the people in your company to follow you in a digital transformation. I think that's it for me. Just a disclaimer, I work in a bank, so you need to see that. And that's it. Thank you all.